Mini Jake, the tribe has spoken.
Fuck you, Kevin.
Aw, fuck you too, sweetie.
I'm JJ, one of the original Tribe of Nerds members. You can catch me on Marvel, Pokemon, and other gaming podcasts.
What up? It's Josh, resident superhero nerd, but I also dabble in the occasional super villain as well.
Some may know me as the Chaos Gremlin, but really I'm just Joe King.
Pikachu, use Volt Tackle! Good job, Pikachu!
On the Tribe of Nerds. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Tribe of Nerds for episode 9 of the Traitors. Austin and I are going to talk about an episode that was kind of boring throughout, actually, and then kind of ended on a little bit of drama, but yeah, let's talk about it. So, what do you think of this episode?
Yeah, I mean, this episode was pretty clear, cut, and dry.
Yeah.
I thought it was a good episode in theory. I mean, we can just start off right from the get-go because, I mean, I don't have too many thoughts on it, but we'll elaborate on it as we go through. But I mean, I love the fact that Carolyn and Danielle cannot get their shit together in the turret. I mean, they literally, Carolyn. At this point, they just don't trust each other. Let's be real. They literally can't get on the same page in there. And I mean, I totally get why Carolyn doesn't want Brittany in there.
Yeah.
But what do you think about Sam, though? Sam being the pick.
Yeah, I found it interesting because I thought that they were going to recruit someone and then they're just like, no, let's just go to murder. And then they're going to get rid of Sam. I think he's like the person that they could agree on the most. And it figures like he's been quiet almost the entire game, and then the one round he speaks up, he dies. I think it was probably a smart move for both of them. I don't think this is where Carolyn's game gets destroyed. I think we'll get to that shortly. But yeah, I think it definitely helps both of them to kill Sam. So
Yeah, Sam was starting to get aware, I think, of what was going on. I think Dylan probably is more aware of who the traitors were over Sam, but they must really trust Dylan because I thought he was gone he was going to be gone these past 2 episodes, honestly, personally. I thought it was him for sure.
yeah, I think socially Dylan's just been really good in this season. I mean, I think he even says later in the episode that we'll get to, he has to pick between his 2 friends. So
Yeah.
legitimately, I think he had a great relationship with both of them, so they didn't actually ever consider killing him.
And then you got options like Dolores and Tom, which I'm pretty confident they must just have been off the table at this point because they as we see later, they're gunning for each other the entire time. They're pretty oblivious to actually the plan altogether.
Yeah, I don't think that Tom and Dolores are ever going to be on the table at all because of that. I don't know why you would get rid of them unless you're trying to pin the blame on one of them that killed the other, but I feel like that time has passed and you're just wanting them to gun for each other, and if you banish one at the round table, it's because you're putting your votes and ganging up on one of them just to get through the vote. So
And then the only other options really were
Ivar.
Brittany, Ivar, and Gabby, which, I mean, the only thing I have with Ivar is he is such a faithful at this point to the point where he's never going to get banished. So I could see that being a true reason why you could get rid of, murder him.
Yeah.
Gabby to an extent.
Yeah, I could see both of them getting murdered for that reason. Obviously, Brittany is completely safe because they're not even as much as Carolyn was going to throw Brittany under the bus, Danielle was obviously never going to agree to it. So, like
Oh yeah. And
that,
vice versa with Gabby as well. Like
yeah.
Carolyn never gonna accept it.
Right, exactly. So yeah, it would like Ivar's the only one of the three that probably was brought up, but again, everybody sees him as a piece of furniture. So like I don't I don't think he's ever going to be brought up again unless they are literally just going for an easy banishment. So
I can agree to that.
so that happens. Sam gets murdered, and we get to the breakfast, and Alan comes in wearing one of the weirdest outfits that he's ever worn. Having like one of those little girl like ponytails and like the red polka dot like dress with like skirt and like suit. It's a very odd decision, Alan.
I was cool with the suit and everything. It was just that hairdo with it kind of threw
Yeah.
me off. I was like, that's an interesting one. It must be a fashion I'm not particular with, but yeah, Alan, you coming up with some crazy ones, man. Uh,
Yeah.
the breakfast was probably one of the more boring breakfasts I've seen. I can't
Yeah.
really remember anything that was particularly like huge at it. Um, I mean, when Dylan kind of walked in by himself, I mean, everyone was kind of, I wouldn't say everyone was shocked, but they were kind of like, oh, damn, Sam just went home, which actually kind of was like eye shocking to me. I was like, damn, I didn't know Sam was like actually starting to gain that kind of traction where like people wanted his opinion.
Right. I mean, we he had a good bond with Ivar. I don't know. I mean, maybe the good things I'll say for Sam is that maybe socially he was decent, but
He
like
had to have at best been decent because like I guess if you just look at who's left, Sam probably is higher in the social standing than a few, right? Like, I mean, he had all the guys, and he must have been at the top of that food chain. And then, I mean, the girls don't want to listen to Tom at all anyway, and they don't give a shit about Ivar's opinion anyway. So, I mean, it kind of just comes down to crossing out names at that point. Like, so, I mean, I kind of get there's an extent of me understanding Sam, like people being shocked, but at the end of the day, he wasn't like the all-star killer out here.
no, absolutely not. So, all right, so then we do get to the challenge, and this is a chess challenge where the traders had to pick answers beforehand, kind of like a touchy subjects kind of thing. But then they have to help everybody like or they either can guess the wrong answers or they can like help everybody get the right answers for like a prize pot. And this is also obviously where we're going to get Kate and Parvati finally in the season. This is the same spot Dr. Will came in last season. So like they're always going to have this like surprise guest come in like almost at the very end. Um, the only thing that I have against it is obviously I would have loved to see like some of the other players in this season who know who these people are like get to see them. Like why can't we get Tony seeing or Boston Rob seeing Parvati or Jeremy or I feel like that would have been cool, but we obviously uh did not see that, so that was like my only gripe with it. But they have great outfits, they
Yeah.
have fun interactions, so I thought that them being there was awesome, and the chess competition was at least like somewhat interesting, but
Yeah, I think it's funny that we just go right to the challenge because we literally there was like nothing that happened in
yeah,
between the breakfast to the challenge. I mean, we already knew everything. Like, we already knew Danielle's name's out there, and we already know Danielle wants to be done with Carolyn. We already know Carolyn wants to be done with Danielle. So,
yeah,
like, absolutely no new news there. And then the challenge, yeah, I mean, challenge was actually a good one. I actually liked it.
yeah,
I do agree they should definitely thrown something like this a little earlier into the season.
yeah,
Um, you know, it. we're getting to the point where it would have been beneficial to have done this like a few episodes ago. Like I would have said like 2 episodes ago would have been a really good one to kind of toss us in for because I mean you are getting info from the Traitors here. I mean Danielle does an amazing job. This is where I'm starting to really see Danielle's game like come alive as a traitor because like she let Carolyn kill herself basically here. Like Carolyn was doing amazing until this literal episode where she really sets herself up to start getting people suspicion on her. I mean, the play of the day for me was when she puts herself up for like person that no one listens to. I'm sitting here going, there is no way you are putting yourself in that type of position and nobody's gonna not see it. You know what I mean? Like you should just never put your name in general in that type of game because you are gonna like Danielle said, you just gave her a chamber to shoot off
Yeah.
at the round table and you know she's making a big deal about no one listening to her. I mean, Dylan's clear as day is not dumb. He's obviously saw that. I mean, Ivar, if we even want to start talking about past this challenge, Ivar's even like, oh, I think Carolyn could be. And I'm sitting there like, if Ivar's kind of putting the lines together, I think that's not good for you, Carolyn. You need to stop doing this.
Yeah, I feel bad in a sense because I understand how she feels. I think it's just obviously her insecurities. I mean, she even says it in her final words, as we'll get to. But like, I I also understand from like Dylan's perspective of like she's kind of making him feel bad and like I don't know. It's to me, I understand both sides at this point. 'Cause I don't necessarily think Carolyn is actively trying to, make Dylan feel bad or, necessarily be manipulative with it. I just think that, like, I just think uh, that's how Dylan took it, and he's completely fair. It's completely fair for him to take it that way. So,
She needed to not allow her emotions to get the better of her
yeah.
in this specific episode, and unfortunately, Uh, it is her demise if you haven't watched that part already. Spoiler, but I will say Kate and Parvati were hilarious in this episode. They called Dylan Peter basically from the
Oh, yeah.
last season. I thought that was pretty funny because he people have been literally saying that episodes ago
Yes.
and they said it before it even hit the mainstream media, so that is hilarious that they thought that too. And then Kate just keeps bringing up, if I hear Tom one more time say that he is it, I was cracking up. I'm like, that's so funny that they think Tom's like delusional.
Yeah, yeah, I loved that. I would pay to see Tom and Kate go at it in a season. Like Kate
Yeah,
would
see that?
absolutely be voting Tom every single opportunity.
Yeah, and Dolores calling Carolyn out was definitely the start of Carolyn's downfall. Like, my goodness. Dolores don't care, man. And I can see why they keep her in now. I mean, she's gonna say what she's thinking.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. All right. So then we're gonna get back to the castle, and this is where Carolyn and Danielle kind of start throwing each other under the bus subtly and or not so subtly. I mean, in some cases, but Carolyn is telling Dylan this conversation that is ultimately going to be her demise of, you know, I think, yeah, speaking about her feelings, as I said, and Dylan takes it as again that he is being, blamed for not understanding her or like, it. So I understand how he's feeling, but I definitely don't think Carolyn meant it that way. So
Yeah, so we start to see Dylan's game before the challenge, as he states he wants to start building one-on-one connections and stop going with the easy votes. And we go into after this challenge where we actively start seeing him, doing this and in talking with Carolyn, he starts to, in his confessionals, he states he has to pick between, Danielle or Carolyn at this point. he literally tells Carolyn that her name's been out there with Danielle, which she didn't know. Um, and reversal, Danielle's starting to get told that Carolyn's put her name out there again. So, I mean, it's at the end of the day, we all knew this war was gonna come at some point. These two could not get along in the turret. And I mean, to an extent, it's Carolyn who kind of keeps initiating this. Her demise in this episode is mostly because of her raw emotions and her being herself to the point where Danielle just can't take it anymore. I mean, Danielle's already kind of been screwing herself, but I mean, this episode she's redeeming herself somehow. I still think she's going to be on a tight leash like next episode, but kudos to her for getting to the round table and flipping this shit. But yeah, with the talks beforehand, yeah, like I don't think we see Gabby much. I'm trying to remember.
Oh, Gabby has been like non-existent this episode. Like I
Which
don't.
was kind of weird because Dylan even states that how he wants to work with her and how like she's very smart, and then we just never heard from her again almost the entire episode.
Yeah, I feel like Traitors, the edit is like what some haters use against Australian Survivor. Like, I notice everything what like Australian Survivor has certain issues with editing a couple of like lower under the radar people at some points giving people like kind of purple edits, but I feel like it's worse with the Traitors than it is on Australian Survivor or like the couple times American Survivor is also under edited people. Like I just feel like I don't care about, the people that are left, and that's just like unfortunately because that's how the game went and the show chose not to highlight the people that actually made it far. So
I
I
think it's hard to highlight some of these people that like an Ivar, for example. He's very soft-spoken, quiet, and to the point. I can only imagine his confessionals are rather
dry.
lackluster.
Yeah.
So, like, I can see why they had the big shooters kind of as the confessionals throughout the season. Um,
Yeah.
Tom's still kind of carrying. We didn't even really get to see him that much this episode, but he's still like keeping us entertained.
Oh yeah.
Brittany and Danielle are going to be the only entertainment outside of
Tom. Yeah.
yeah, Tom, and I guess Dylan's kind of like everyone's
Yeah.
like, oh, we love Dylan. We all just want to see him get to the end at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean this. Yeah, it's an interesting ending. I can probably tell you I did not expect 90% of these people to get to the end, which I guess surprised me. You know what I mean? But
Yeah. I don't know, like I definitely want to see more of like the heavy hitters, and like that's why I watch these shows, is to see the entertaining people and like people that are flashy and fun. This reminds me of like Survivor Game Changers. Like it's just like you have all the big players and then you see all the people you wanted to see go out immediately or like throughout like early and middle of the game, and now we're left with what we're left with. And I'm just like, I don't care about half these people. I care about Brittany and Danielle and Dylan and Tom. And like that's like I guess at this point they are like the majority, but like otherwise I just don't care about the other three. So
and that's fair because I guess I don't agree with that obviously because I like Gabby, I like Dolores, I like Tom, I like Danielle. I kind of like all of them except Ivar to an extent. He just kind of bores me.
mhm.
But yeah, I know, and then I agree with your statement though of like the heavy hitters all kind of went home early, and that kind of brings me to like my thesis that I was telling you earlier. Like they all needed to kind of not gun for each other.
Yeah.
They all just killed each other basically right at the start. Like Tony got martyred,
Danielle.
Jeremy got tossed in the coffin and taken away. Like
Mhm.
the traders couldn't figure the hell out, so they killed each other. Like they
Yeah.
kind of just they killed each other like at this rate, and that's why there's only two of them left here, right? And I mean,
Right.
it would be really smart for the five. What do we got? One, two, three, four, five. We have seven left. Two gamers, and then two or five, people from other shows in life. Like I could honestly see those five just killing off these two gamers. But the thing is, one of them is about to get recruited, but we'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, these it's just an interesting cast at this point. I'm kind of excited, honestly, to see what happens at this end, but I can see why people would think it's boring and rather like not interesting, especially if you have no idea who these people are, because you're probably not alone, Jake. There's probably a lot of people watching this show who don't know who the fuck Gabby is, that probably don't know who Ivar is at all. Dolores probably has never hit the screen for half the people that watch this show. You know what I mean? So, I
Right.
mean, I totally get where you're at.
Yeah, and I mean, like you watching, knowing Gabby from a show you watched or Dolores, like, you're gonna connect to them more than like I will, who has
Yeah,
not
yeah.
these shows. So
I'm a Bambi lover, man. Like
yeah,
I've been rooting with Nikki, Chriselle, and Gabby this whole time, and like I'm pissed as hell that Nikki got destroyed and Chriselle got murdered.
right.
I'm still mad that Wells went home so damn early. I
I
was excited to
know.
see him. I wanted to see him not be behind the fucking bar 24/7 because that's literally what he does on Bachelor in Paradise. He just stands behind the bar and gives his opinion on life and love. And I'm just like, oh my God, he's on a show like Traitors. This is gonna be so interesting. He's gonna be a completely different person. And then he just fucks himself real quick and leaves. I was like, come on, no.
Yeah, and I mean he's also married to the girl from Modern Family as well, which I did not know. So that
I
was
didn't even know that. That's fun as
yeah.
hell.
Yeah, no, the older sister, I believe.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah. So yeah, no, I found that out. But yeah, no, I agree. Wells would have been cool to see. Like that was probably one of the most shocking votes of the season. Just because like it was so split at the beginning and then he just goes home by like a one vote difference. So yeah. But all right, let's talk about. So then Carolyn is banished in a 4-2 to 1-1 vote as Tom and Dolores both vote for each other, which cracked me up because again, they can't put aside their petty differences to like actually do something right. Um, but yeah, so poor Carolyn, unfortunately, Danielle gets the better of her here and she is banished, gives a very emotional, very good speech, and she is out in what, like eighth place. So
Yeah, let's talk about this roundtable.
yeah,
I'd probably say this was actually a better roundtable than most of them have been this season, in
yeah,
my opinion, at least. I mean, they got right to the point of it's gonna be either Carolyn or Danielle. They did not hold back. I could say that that at least. I like how Ivar tries to start it off with the oh, I think it's two girls, and Gabby's like, bro, like cut to the chase. We already fucking know this.
mhm,
And then Danielle or Carolyn starts, tossing Danielle back out there, which this is where I actually thought Carolyn was going to redeem herself a little bit,
yeah, yeah,
but the points were not hitting, man, because it once it flipped to Danielle, she just took Carolyn and dragged her into the goddamn ocean. I mean,
yeah,
it was like a piranha just getting her meal, basically. Like
yeah,
Carolyn just like she just couldn't get the facts together more because it literally comes down to Dylan, who I thought was going to stick with Carolyn here and get rid of Danielle, but he ends up flipping because the facts just are hitting him better. You know what I mean? So, like, I was
mm,
saying it earlier in our series here, Danielle's gonna go, but she just keeps surviving. That's
yeah.
her game though. That's how she played in her first Big Brother game too. She survived every gauntlet that she went through. And I love seeing the old school Big Brother type gamer on this because she's definitely playing it. She's playing it well right now. I mean, I didn't know if you watched Chriselle's she did a podcast the other like day or so, and she was like, we all don't like how Danielle played the game because she swears on her kids. And I'm like,
I heard about that on Twitter, but
and
I
I'm
didn't
like,
watch it.
that's old school gamer for you, man. Like, and that's probably something I would do because
That
when you're in a game, I would never believe that. You know what I mean? Like, I swear on my life, my wife, my kids, my blah blah blah. I'm like, bro, it's a game, bro. Like Danielle's gonna do that because she's a gamer. Like she's one of the original gamers of Big Brother, so she's gonna do it. She
Right.
was known for being ruthless. That's why she didn't win. So,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like, you look at the past, like old school Survivor players as well. Like Johnny Fairplay did it. I mean, Russell did it. I mean, heck, even Tony did it in Cagayan. Like he would literally just say, I swear on my dead dad or whatever. And then you get at the final tribal that moment of like Trish yelling at him or like calling him out because, was it worth it to lie on your dad's grave? And he's just like, yes. And then he still gets the votes. Like,
it's funny you bring up fair play. I would love to see fair play on Traitors, actually. Now
yeah,
that you just put that in my head. Like him, Tyson would be really
no,
fun.
Tyson would be funny.
Um, shit, who would
Um,
I'd have to start thinking Survivor if I'm gonna
I mean, I'll see
do
Malcolm
that.
on anything, but
Jake's like, I would throw a whole cast of Survivor on Traitors.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. I'm trying to think of like someone that like that'll be interesting to watch because I think Malcolm would be another one where I feel like he'd also try to be a little snaky and throw whoever he can under the bus, and it'd be
You
kind
know
of,
what? I think Coach would be hilarious to
oh
watch
my
on a
God.
Traitors.
Oh,
He would be like my Tom this season. Like he would be cracking me up.
yeah. Coach would just be like, did you see that, where I slayed the dragon at the last round table and be talking about religion and like holding prayer circles in the castle.
And like some random desperate housewives chicks just like, who the fuck are you? And why are you crazy?
Oh God. Or get Philip Shepherd in there.
Oh my God, now you're blowing my mind. That dude would be a loose cannon in a
Oh
game
my
of
God.
Traitors.
He'd be like, the BR rules state that we have to take you out of the castle tonight because you are a traitor. Stealther us in the castle.
What they would do is actually make Philip a traitor, though.
Oh, then Stealther us would be like the traitors organization. Yes.
And then Philip's literally the lunatic running the fucking show. That would be funny. I could buy in on it.
Yeah, I mean, again, it took two idols to get him out of Caramoans. Somehow, I love Malcolm for that, but again, that's crazy to me always that Philip literally only went out because two idols got played.
Jesus Christ. Yeah.
All right. So after Carolyn's banishment, we get the twist that Danielle has to recruit someone, and it's the same twist that happened to Kate last season, where the person is in the jail cell. They get to meet the traitor face to face and basically join the traitors or just die. And of course, that's not really much of a choice. You're going to pick to stay in the game and be a traitor. So. Um, yeah, and so let's talk about this. Obviously, we see that she's gonna go for recruiting Brittany. Like that was the most obvious choice. But what did you
Yeah.
think of this?
You know, I'm 50-50 on this. I'm not gonna lie. I'm 50-50. Yes, good move on Danielle because this is her number one. She does not want to kill. She does not want to get to the end and, watch her lose and her win. Because in theory, if Brittany is at Final Four and they're throwing the fire in, I'm sure they're gonna go together to the end. I'm pretty confident in it. So I see Danielle's logic and let's keep, her on my side, recruit her. We can strategize. We can actually like get to the end and win this shit. Um, where I'm kind of against the idea, and it's kind of just where the cards have laid for Danielle this season is cool. You're recruiting Brittany, but you are still the number one target now, and they all think it's a girl. So how are you gonna, if it's on you and your name is the one, how are you gonna shake this off you now? Now that Carolyn's gone, how are you shaking this off you? Because you're not gonna throw it on Brittany because you want to keep her around, and she's the literal other traitor. So there's no real good way to get the traitor clause off you now. So that's where I'm kind of at. I'm like 50-50. I was kind of hoping she kind of threw it on like a Dolores here, to be fair with you, because she's still getting tossed into the name selection out there. And if Dolores went home, that'd make Danielle look pretty good in my mind. Like,
Yeah.
ooh, you killed another one. Like you're on it. You're building more trust with Dylan and Tom, sure. And they'll probably take you to the end and win it, maybe. Like I don't know, you know what I mean? I'm trying to see the strategy and logic between her decision here, and I'm 50-50. We'll see how it pans out for her. If she truly got her name out of the hat with this Carolyn murder or banishment, then this is a good move. But if she didn't, and the next episode she's just fucked, then this is a bad move on her, and it probably sets Brittany up to win. So
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I mean, honestly, looking at it, I mean, so we do see that like a couple people are talking about, okay, this is basically what happened to Boston Rob and Bob the drag queen. So people are already thinking of it. But I think based on the edit now, looking back all the way to episode one and the fact they highlight the Brittany and Danielle awkward interaction that they had their last time playing Big Brother, it seems like both of them are making it to the end now. So I will give the edit props for that they did set this storyline up at the beginning and they have followed through on it throughout. So that's where I kind of see things going.
yeah, and I can see that happening too. That's one of my two ways I see here. Either Danielle shook it off and they're going to do a really good job in the next episode of probably it's going to be Dolores or Tom. That's kind of where I'm headed. It's either Dolores or Tom or it's a Danielle or it's a Danielle. Those are like my two only avenues I see happening next episode for some reason. And if they shake it on something else, they did a fucking great job because the edit has not shown me otherwise. But it's literally like it's option A for me. It's Danielle gets fucked, or it's option B. They work together to shake this off Danielle, and yeah, they get to the end and probably win. So yeah, this will be interesting to see because like who are they going to bring to the end? You know what I mean? Like because they don't have to kill anybody at 4. If those two get to the end at 4, like let's say they take like they're gonna have to get rid of they have to get rid of Tom or Dylan before 4. Say it's like a Gabby, could be like a Gabby Dylan. If it's that 4, they probably don't even need they'll probably all throw it in the fight. Like what is it? Is it green for good or something? I don't remember the colors.
Yeah,
but
it was something like that from what I remember.
but
Yeah.
if they might all be like we're faithfuls, let's fucking run it. And then it's those two are the traitors. I could see that possibly happening. Um, but yeah, at this point, I definitely agree with you. I definitely see Brittany or Danielle making it to the end. I also see Dylan or Gabby making it to the end. Um, and that's probably, I guess that's, if we want to talk, our future picks, that's probably my number one is that it's Brittany, Danielle, Gabby, and Dylan get to Final Four, and then those two win. But my other side of my head's thinking the other the faithfuls finally get rid of Danielle here, and then Brittany kind of coasts. So those are my two predictions.
Yeah, I think those are probably the two most likely predictions, to be honest. I don't necessarily have anything different. I mean, maybe Tom is there instead of Gabby. Like that's the other option possibly, but I think they realize that Dylan and Tom are decently close. So yeah, they would want Gabby and Dylan because they don't trust each other. So
Yeah,
that
and if we have to start looking at the connections here too, because we can probably pick up on a future kill. Like for example, Ivar is pretty close with Dylan and Tom.
yeah.
Dylan wants to work with Gabby. I don't think Gabby really has many connections outside of that and Dolores. And then it sounds like Brittany and Danielle is very close with Dylan. So that's why I'm really kind of confident with the Dylan getting to the end because I think Dylan now wants to work with Danielle unless like I think option B for my prediction happens. Dylan is like, okay, now I think it's Danielle. So then, he flips it with Gabby, Tom, and Ivar, which would be enough in a scenario. So it could get it like that's why I think this next episode is gonna be really like good because it's going to be, I think there has to be strategy. Like it's forced. There's going to be it has to be a strategical episode because Brittany now is a traitor.
Yeah.
And if she doesn't choose it, she obviously that's dumb. Brittany's definitely choosing to be a traitor. So I feel like this next episode is going to be very telling of how this end will happen. Like, so yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I talked in circles there, but I agree with you.
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah, I agree with you as well. So now our last thing is from the preview next week. They're going to introduce the seer twist. We did
Oh,
look
yeah.
up, and it was in Traitors UK, where whoever performs the best at the last round table will get to pick someone to have a chat with, and then they will get to know that person's role. Now, I think that it shouldn't be this late for that twist to come into play. I think it's very unfair because it's so easy to convince a small group of people like what's going on. I feel like this twist would work much better in a bigger group of people. Uh, because then you still have to like use that information wisely and be like, is this the best time to do this right now? Or are most of these people not going to believe what I'm saying? So, yeah, I think this is honestly like maybe not a bad twist, but it's bad timing.
Yeah, I actually like the twist, and I agree. It's like a get screwed card, right? Like you literally, Danielle needs to pray to God that she's the one picked for the seer because
Mhm.
if she is, then the seer honestly is just going to be a boring add-on. Let's be honest, if it's Danielle. If it's Brittany, though, I mean, she can at least have some fun with it, like pick someone and talk to them. But if it's like I honestly think it's got to be Danielle or Brittany if we're going based off last round table. I mean, who the hell even did much at that round table? You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
this seer twist could be boring as hell. It really could be. Or I think if anyone else gets it, I think they pick Danielle and she's done.
Yeah, yeah, I absolutely agree. Yeah, I think it's definitely not gonna pan out the way production wants it to. So I don't know. I just feel like the Traitors twists are hit or miss. So I mean
It
I
could
think
be something dumb too. If Dylan gets picked, he could pick Gabby.
oh
Uh,
yeah, he absolutely could.
like if it's Tom, he could pick Dolores. You
Oh
know what I
my
mean?
God, I that would actually be worth it just for that. Because I want to see that. No, I think like it's just I feel like the best Traitors twist for me was probably I don't know. I think the cup murder from last season with Ekansu. I think that was my favorite one. Because like Dan and Parvati had to try to like I don't even think Ekansu was their target. They were just trying to get anybody to like drink, and Ekansu just mistakenly drank from the cup, and they're just like, oh, okay. And then you get the iconic Phaedra quote of Lord not Ekansu. But like I that's probably the best twist in my opinion. Maybe you could say like maybe at the beginning of this season, although I think that was unfair to have like, okay, they chose not to have Robin, so we're just gonna make Rob a traitor, and then Wes and Derek are gonna be into like, I could see some people arguing that they loved that they still brought them in, but that one was also pretty silly. So
I like when traders aggressively make the traders themselves perform additional acts, like what you just said, like the cup.
Mhm.
I think that traders in general should do that more often instead of one time. Like for example, they this season they had to all get together and write three names down to put in coffins, which I liked that because literally fucked three faithfuls. Like they really did. They obviously killed one, and then the two just got murdered. They ended up getting banished literally because of the twist. Like, why don't they instead of an automatic murder every damn night, they throw in like not one of those, but like three of them. Like they have to actively try to do stuff to get the like person they want to murder murdered. You know what I mean? Instead of it just being write the name down, move on. Because I don't know, it would be interesting. Like to get a murder, they have to do something. And I kind of like that like thought because you're not just getting two every damn episode. You would get one because they couldn't accomplish it or like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it kind of makes the faithfuls get a little more fairness, I think. I think being a traitor, you can kind of get away with too much in this type of game. Unless you're just bad, which this season is a good example of bad traitor like gameplay. They were just trying to kill each other the entire time. That's not a normal traitors game. This is a very abnormal way of playing the game. But um yeah, I would like to see more of like the cup stuff, like more murders in plain sights, more shield getting like I liked it how they did in the first season. Someone got to go get a shield in the castle and hide it, and they literally missed on one of them in season
With
one, I think.
Fergie, yeah.
So like that's the type of stuff I like. Like I like that type of stuff, and they should use that more. I think because some of the times between like the before challenge and after challenge, sometimes it's boring as hell. Like this episode, like in that cutoff time after breakfast before the challenge, like there was literally nothing that we remember other than Dylan stating he wants to work with people one on one, and that's not even that big of a deal, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then afterwards is nothing really either. So like it'd be cool to see some challenges like in the middles, like how Survivor has idols, you know what I mean? Like let's do shit like between that time. Like let's see people develop and screw themselves, get themselves caught. Like I don't know. That's just a little my thought.
Yeah, that's good thoughts. All right. I mean, anything else before we close out this recap of the traders? We've got what, two or three left. So this
No,
season.
I think I threw out my predictions. I think you mostly agreed with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I could definitely see, well, next episode's either going to be one murder or sorry, one banishment, or we're going to see like a weird flipped version of them doing a banishment and then a murder. And then,
Mhm.
you know what, that would actually make sense if they did it that way, because then it would be five. And that's usually what they do at a finale, right? It's five or
Yeah, I think it's five because then they do a vote and they do the bonfire.
Yep. Yep. So yeah, that's what will happen the next episode. We'll see it flipped next episode. We'll see a banishment and then we'll see a murder and then
Yeah.
and then that'll be the last episode. So yeah,
Yeah. So
I think we
two.
covered everything.
Yeah. Yeah, we did pretty good. All right. Well, lots more to go through. Obviously, go check out a lot of our other content. Subscribe to us, like, comment, subscribe, as I said. But yeah, I mean, we got Deal or No Deal Island. We got Australian Survivor going. US Survivor is going to be kicking up. We'll be getting a draft out there with Kevin, Cameron, Sarah, and I. So look forward to that. And we'll figure out recaps for that. Might be a little different than weekly, but we'll see. Anyway, we'll see you all next time on the Tribe of Nerds.